Welcome back to V-Rule. Check the description below for how to enter your chance to win the Glaring Articuno tin from Crown Zenith, the 2 3-pack blisters from Stellar Crown, and the Pokemon Mystery Prize. I'm giving away four awesome prizes. Once we reach that 2,500 subscriber goal, I think we can do it. It's been climbing pretty well, and I really appreciate all of you who have supported the channel thus far. Let's take a look into this today. Today is Wednesday, which is our Works of Art Wednesday. All the different sets on Pokelector. We've been working our way through main sets. I'm skipping Trick or Treat, I'm skipping Holiday Collection, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But today is going to be Paldea Evolved. Let's hop over here to Paldea Evolved. Scrolling past all of the fluff, the main set series, the stuff that we really want to focus on when it comes to the artwork. Could we go into each of these cards? Sure. It would take an eternity, but we could do it. It's going to be long enough. In fact, there are so many, 36 illustration rares and 15 special illustration rares. There's so many in this set that we're not going to look at full arts. We're not going to look at those hyper rare gold cards. There's just too many to cover. So we've broken it down into a little bit of a smaller class of cards here, but still, it's quite a few to be thinking about overall. So we have our different categories: true artwork, still art, neutral, or not going to last. It's very simple, really. If I think it's a true artwork, I put it in this category. If I think it's still worthy of being called art, or if I'm kind of indifferent, but it's not bad by any means, the things that are not going to last are the ones that I think will have difficulty holding up over time. So not just within the set, but over the course of the TCG itself. In comparison to the other sets, it's so difficult to gauge that off of memory right now, but the reality is it should be apparent within the set of which ones probably just don't have what it takes to reach that height. And if that's the case, they probably won't have what it takes to compete with other sets either. So we should be able to do this relatively quickly, given what's here. Hopefully got things zoomed in a little bit better for you. I've broken these pages out a little bit specific just for my own way of going through them. And here we have just some of the illustration rares, not all of them, but some of them. And we can kind of look and see just a few things that look like maybe they enter that category of not going to last, and it's very apparent. And we're going to have to be pretty specific because right now we have a smaller pool. If we had things like full arts, in comparison to a lot of this, they're not going to last. But there are some here that are just going to kind of hit that category based on the selection of images, the selection of artworks, rather, that we have available to us from Paldea Evolved. And I think we can all agree that this big, huge worm is not going to last. That, you know, Wooper, while cute, hanging out tiny in the frame there, it really just doesn't make the cut, and it's going to be a not going to last kind of card. There are others in here, but you start looking at it as a whole, there's a lot of color, there's a lot of contrast, there's a lot of action, a lot of chaotic stuff going on in the scene. So we got to be a little bit more picky about how we're going to take this and where we're going to go. And maybe it's just myself or my own thought of things, just the popularity of Pokemon, my unfamiliarity, and I'm going to butcher so many of these names, so I apologize in advance. There are some that just kind of stand out as not being as exciting. We could take this one and just kick it to the probably not going to last. Flamingo, I think it's actually pretty nice, but I actually think comparatively, because of the amount we have available to us, what we have to critique, it's also going to reach into that not going to last category. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's throw another one in there. I know it's cute, but we're not going to last there, friends. We have a few that are going to be reaching into that next tier, you know, the neutral zone. All right, and this is really just trying to be really picky here. But, oh, man, so I've got a couple right here that are going to hit neutral for me. I know that people really like this style of artwork. It's okay. There's another one that's similar, but actually I'm going to be going into the neutral zone right here too. So you just, you know, bear with me because it's a little dicey, right? So it's okay. It's okay. It's up to me on how I think of these things, what I'm feeling on them. And as far as the artwork, and really the ones where I want to get a little bit more in depth in how I critique, it's going to be reaching into that still art and definitely the true artwork. So should we take a step in that direction? Perhaps. But as we start narrowing down, we can see that each little thumbnail, there's a little bit more to it. Oh man, no, did you just, yep. We just found another neutral there, another neutral here, and I kind of am looking at it, and sometimes it does help to look at them small in the frame. Just take a step back, get the overall feel, because you get a better idea of what you're looking at there. So who are we missing here? Let's get the rest of these here. We have the Tink-a-Tink here, Bramblin, Quaxwell. There's a few we gotta contend with there. I'm actually going to be putting Tinkatink in the still art. I think there's a little bit happening there. I think the Bramblin has some good storytelling that reaches in the still art as well. So we're going to be doing that as well. Here we go. Quaxwell, where are you at? Doing your thing, being a duck and a half here. I'm not a super fan of this evolution line, but I think there's enough here, and then when you put the three together, there's a lot more to consider on these starters. When you put the three together and look at them in that triptych style, it kind of elevates it, not just one particular artwork, but the set of three working together, and it kind of holds up a little bit better. Graphia, whatever you are, you giraffe-looking graffiti guy here. It's pretty wild looking and really inexpensive for what it is. There's a lot of action here. Do I have a full page here? I could just pop out. Let's just do that. Let's pop out one over here and take a quick or little in-depth look. So we got a lot of action in here, and the paint splatter there. We know it's going all the way up here. That low angle looking up. It's just this really intense look. It looks cool. I think that's a good one for us to add into that still art category. Have we gotten through all these? I think we've reached. We need the Gothorita here, right? Let's go into the Gothorita. That's another one. I kind of like the depth of this, how it's a little bit more of a darker scene, just a little bit of light sources coming in here. I'm not entirely sure what this scene is all about. Let's just clean this up a bit here. Yeah, we're in like some little like shop or something. There's like a lamp here. I don't know. It's interesting. It's just got a little bit more of a pop, even though it's kind of on the darker side of imagery. It's interesting to kind of take a look at. So we're going to put that in the still art category. Have we hit all of these? I believe we've gotten all of these taken care of here. Now, what does that mean? It means we got way more illustration rares. There's a lot of them. That was just page 2. We've thrown a couple into these zones here. Rookidee, Sandygast, they kind of hit the same for me. There's a lot happening in the storytelling and the scene, but it's not highly elevated. So I'm going to give them a little bit of credit and say that they are in the still art category for both of them. If I could find them, either one would be great. Here's Rookidee. All right, we're going to go there. Still art category there. And our other from Sandygast. There you go. My gosh. Getting lost. There's too many to go. Oh man, I'm gonna start kicking myself, aren't I? Because there's some on here that I absolutely love the Pokemon, and I just don't think the artwork does it justice. Not quite there yet, but we will. Pyroar, Floragato. Again, in the triptych, I think there's something there, but actually this one falls shorter than a couple of the other lines for me. So let's place these here. Pyroar, Floragato, they kind of actually fit in the same category for me of being in this one here. Man, I'm probably just going to piss people off with my opinions on this set because there's so many artworks. There's too many artworks. That's the problem. I'm going to go jumping into neutral over here. Sorry about that, but not sorry, I guess. So there's too many artworks to be saying everything is true art and everything is still art category. You have to be a little bit more selective in how you handle this, and it's difficult at times. It really is difficult to kind of be so picky about this. But these are all kind of hitting into the neutral zone for me. Yep. Let's keep going. I'm thinking, and I'm trying not to react, and then I'm ready to go. But I'm like, let's take a deeper look at some of these over here to get a better idea. Tinkatuff, I think we're in a similar category there. This one just didn't do it for me. So sorry, that one had to fall a little bit by the wayside. See, Baxcalibur, I think there's a little bit more happening here. You have a little bit more prominence of the Pokemon compared to some of the earlier evolution. So I'm a little bit more inclined to give in more to this artwork. It's a little bit chaotic and exciting and fun. How there's some depth to it. So let's grab a couple more there. We are going up here in the still art, and again, if you just start pairing things together, in their similarities and how they kind of hit well one next to the other. I think that ends up giving a little bit more prominence to those specific cards, those specific artworks, and it carries them a little higher. This one's going to bring, my goodness, if I can get it to move, up here in the still artwork category. I'm seeing a few that are just not making the cut. We might be past the not going to last section just because they're getting harder to separate. So that may be good. We'll see. But there's a few here that are just hitting in that neutral zone. One of my favorite Pokemons is Sudowoodo, but that's going to hit in the neutral zone. I do love the artwork for what it is of Sudowoodo. As far as storytelling, as far as the frame of it, you know, how much more is there? We have this long sidewalk, the row of trees, the row of buildings. There he is. He pops out as a Pokemon in the scene, but blended as part of the vegetation. Okay. A little too much negative space for me to enjoy the artwork beyond, you know, the face value of it. Maushold here, kind of cute. There's a little bit of action going on, but for some reason it feels a little too simplistic in what's happening here. We have this like day and night feel between it. Maybe I actually do like this one, actually. There's a little bit more depth to that than I thought. So Sudowoodo, you're going to go neutral, buddy. Sorry, one of my favorite Pokemon in the franchise, but we're going to be going past there. So actually I kind of like that little day and night feel. Don't get carried away. Come on. What is going on with the whole everything? Get down to the still art without freaking out. Close enough. My goodness. I don't know what's happening here. Oh, man. I'm all over the place. These three are some of the top hitting cards of the set, so we're going to leave them a little bit further down the line. Heracross is definitely a popular one, and I really do love how this one shows up here. For Coco, got a good story there. Sprigatito, it's not as elevated as it could be. Meryl's pretty nice there. Paldea Tauros, you know, I don't know. It's almost like I need an in-between category of like art and a half, you know, like it's not quite neutral, but it's not quite still art. So where does that leave things? Where does that put stuff? So let's start kind of separating a few in here. Sorry, I got to make the decision and get them into that neutral zone. If I got to be a little bit more picky here, this Fuecoco line starts to give me a little bit more of a storytelling. Definitely a little bit more exciting of a scenery. I really love the way the fire is coming in. On this one, you have the little lantern and that tiny fire pit there for the Fletchinder. So, very cool. The Tropius is actually a good version of this Pokemon compared to previous ones, but I think it falls short of being still art. We're going to have to go into that neutral zone on this. Now we're getting a little bit more picky here. That's good. That's cool. We got to figure out Ice Cube still and Meryl. I think we got a couple more to do here. Let's take a look here. Let's get that Ice Cube where I think it belongs, in the still art category. I'm kind of having trouble now with this. Actually, I think that it's going to demote. It's going to demote a little bit. The repetition is okay. The storytelling is okay, but there's a big difference between the Quaxley line and the Fuecoco line. I think there's a lot more happening here that's worth setting aside there. Okay. I think we got a few contenders here. That Meryl is going to be the first one I'm going to put into true artwork. It's quite beautiful how it ends up working out there. The wrong tab. Let's take a look at that Meryl there a little bit larger if we can. Take a second here. So our Meryl floating on the water, holding the tail, got all the love discs swimming around. What's this other one? I don't remember. And there's just lots of different Pokemon here. As far as Pokemon count, has anybody counted it? There's quite a few in here. So as far as scenery, you're getting a lot there. I love the light coming down within here. I mean, the schools of fish, there's got to be freaking 100 Pokemon in here or something. I don't know what it is. So I'm really liking the way the light is here. The big clouds, a little bit simplistic in there, simplistic island there, but nice front and center here on Meryl. So I think that one really stands out for sure as a true artwork. The Heracross we discussed a little bit. We were pointing it out there. Definitely Really beautiful. Just the way the light is falling across the scene here, and you have what we do is light spotting here, sun spotting rather. So you have the shadow cast, which means the light's coming from over off this side here, pouring into the scene. Okay, but we have a lot of shadows here, so somewhere across the road here are trees, and the light's pouring across. Is that replicated throughout the scene? I think so. We got a nice little shadow being cast over here to make sense of it. Light coming across, a little bit brighter there, a little bit brighter up and under here, and then it's falling off darker over here under the shadow area. You know, it's a little bit lighter going across here, filling in, and then it's falling off a little bit on the darker side off to this way. So it makes sense. It gives a little bit of a visual reality to it. We got the little road here, and then the Heracross just, I don't know what he's about to do, hitch a ride or something. But that one's definitely a true artwork for this group here. Really beautiful and how that stands out. Are we done with the illustration rares? And now we're on to the special illustration rares? Is that what we just did? That may be the case. Let's see. We got those three. I think we're going to hold off. Everybody else has been accounted for as far as I can tell and remember for the past couple of minutes because my brain don't work apparently. Let's look at these. Special illustration rares. I'm going to be a little bit picky. Sorry. It's got to happen. I think that some of these are still artworks here, but already you saw me throw one into neutral. It just didn't do enough for me. I think we're going to hit a neutral over here. I think the Quaxley line here, Quackabell, is going to hit into that neutral line for me. Neutral. Oh man, there's a lot more neutral than there are still arts out of the special illustration rares, and that goes to show kind of the state of things, that special illustration rare is your pull rate. It's not entirely going to mean what the value of that card is every time. All right, so it's really based on your pull rate and its rarity overall, but it's not really I don't want to do that yet, do I? Yeah, these are gonna hit there, sorry. It's not really giving you an incentive to say that these are so much higher, they're so much more elevated because they're special illustration rare. You don't have to play it like that. This is subjective, it's just artwork. But there are a few that really stand out as being a nice artwork, still artwork here. I think the Chai-Pao, the Chi-Yu, Skeledirge definitely is still artwork. I don't know. Tinglu, I believe is still artwork. I really like the way this cracks in here, this nice long foreground leading to the Pokemon there, a little bit of framing in the background, the light. There's just a little bit extra happening there that brings it into these categories of still artwork for me. I know that that fish is going to bother some people. I don't know if this one makes the cut, and I'm going to go still artwork. Okay, I'm just going to change tabs apparently. I'm going to go still artwork over here. We're down to these 5 here. All right. Did I take out these 5? I think I took out these 5. Let's take a look. Grusha, absolutely stunning card. Probably one of my favorite of this set in the special illustration rare category. You have this winter scene, the little starlies hanging out there, the snow on the branches creating this nice framing here, the glow inside, brighter in the back, a little bit reflecting in the window that you get just enough here. Do we have just like a little cup of tea or something with that little steam coming off, with the snow coming down? Who's peeking up in the window here? This is so cool. There's a lot of little tiny details that just really elevate it. I mean, as a thumbnail, you can just see there's a lot of interesting aspects to the card there. We're going to go into Tyranitar. This is an obvious winner, I think. Just the price alone is going to tell you that this special illustration rare is pushing in the right direction. Tyranitar is very popular, but you have this really powerful Pokemon, this really powerful dramatic scene, the bright light from behind, the beautiful sky, this all soaring in the same direction, all these different flight birds here, you know, these flying Pokemon just surrounding and giving this very dominant feel. It's excellent, absolutely excellent. Raichu, love a good Raichu. The sleepy Raichu is cute, having a little dreams, and for us to be REM sleep, he's got a little spark sleep happen. I don't know what that's about, but it's awesome. And it's Pikachu's evolved form, so who's not going to love it? However, in the way we have to be so critical, I think it only reaches still artwork at this point. Moving on to the top 2 most expensive, of this set here, the Iono. I really do like this card. Not a big fan of Iona as a character as a whole, but there's a lot of little tiny Easter eggs with the Pikachu, the Eevee. You know, you have the nice blurred out foreground leading into our scene, and then this background looks like another Pikachu back here and a heart, something like that. So yeah, it's a higher tier card. I'm going to give it that true artwork. I think it makes it for sure. And there's no question that Magikarp, being the top tier of the set, shows you that it's not the playability, it's not just the rarity. This one is purely the top pull because of the illustration, because of the artwork, and by far it becomes the highest one of the true artwork and the best overall. So as a whole, I don't know if we've done too bad here when you start grouping it into these true artworks. This is more on the lighter side. This is a little bit more on the darker depth side here. And these kind of start running together in a very similar feel. Of course, you have a couple that are like literally grouped together to make it happen. This one, just on its own, has a lot of good contrast to it that it almost makes me want to put it in a new category. But I think there's enough here to say that it's good still artwork and a reasonable spot for it. Here we move into that neutral zone. Some of these, like the Tauros, it's cool, but it just doesn't hit home hard enough for the rest of it, and there's a little bit too much simplicity, or the scene isn't as evolved as it could be, like we have in these. This is bothering me just a little bit. There we go. As we have in these two different lines, like we have with our Fuecoco line. There we go. That's my tier list. Way too long, way too crazy. And you know what? Maybe you'll have a chance of pulling some nice artwork out of this tin here. The Galarian Articuno tin from Crown Zenith, or you can pull some nice artwork out of the 2 Stellar Crown 3-pack blisters, and maybe there's even something else waiting for you in that Pokemon Mystery Prize. For prizes, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I post 7 days a week, which means I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.